Hey, what's going on, everybody?
Hello.
It's another
I'm all
week.
like low key because I just ate.
I just did the same thing, so we're in the same boat there.
Nap time.
Yeah, we're gonna get well, I was gonna say we're gonna get halfway through this podcast, and I'm just gonna be sitting here like passed out. But no, like we've got such an incredible guest today that I honestly feel like there's no way I could. Like the conversations that we're probably about to have are I've been waiting for these conversations for a while, and I know you know this. Like I've been telling you, like, hey man, I want to do a project with Brent. I want to talk with Brent. Like we got to set something up here. So yeah. So why don't you go ahead and before we get into anything, go ahead and introduce who we're going to be having as our guest.
Tonight's guest is super fascinating. They are one of the founders of CreepyCrates. They're one of the main sponsors of the upcoming Cleveland Paracon. They're a very, very seasoned paranormal investigator who's been to a mind-blowing number of locations. I can't even wrap my mind around it. They're just all around an exceptionally fascinating person. So I'm not going to talk anymore. I'm going to bring them out. Let's welcome Brent Fair.
Hey, Brent.
Hello.
Keep it coming, Chris. Keep it coming. I'm enjoying it. I've been on a few podcasts in my day. You can tell by the gray I've been around the block a little bit. And that was probably the best opening I've ever had.
Oh wow.
I appreciate that. And then I have a question before we get started for you, Chris. Did you have any gummies today?
I did not.
Okay. You were talking about the food, and I'm thinking, man, he's got the munchies and
No, Saturday I had the munchies, and I didn't have any gummies on Saturday. All I wanted to do Saturday night was eat. That was terrible.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you were like, I had a sub. Well, I got another one coming too.
I had that salad. I had a sub. When we put in the second order, I ordered boneless wings. I finished off that cookie. It was ridiculous.
That's almost like what we just experienced on our way to the Night House. So we leave, we get Cane's. We of course stop at Bucky's on the way.
Oh
then
yeah.
Then we meet them for Mexican food at a restaurant down there. So I feel like maybe that's just your personality. Like, I don't even.
Maybe. It's weird. Either I go all day and I don't eat anything, or I'm eating all day long. It's one or the other.
You had all the staples there: Bucky's, Mexican. I didn't hear pizza, and Cane's. Yeah. All the staples of a paranormal night.
Oh,
absolutely.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, there's one more. There's one more in there, and it's coffee.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Always has. Always has.
For sure, yeah.
I do. And that particular night, I lost my coffee. It was rather tragic.
I know. I'm almost kind of like, we don't really have an announcement at the moment, but you had a brilliant idea the other day. I don't know if you even want to put it out there at all.
Why not? Pique people's interest.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's pretty cool. I like it.
Coming soon, Crooked Coffees. It's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
Whoa.
So to go along, or it's not to go along with, but to go with Crooked Apparel that is going to be coming very soon. Like we said last week.
See it, but it's here.
I love it.
Which, oh my god, dude! Like I don't think you've seen the To the Morgue shirt design yet.
I've seen it, Christopher. I think, or have I? Did you show me like a sample?
I was so excited to show you.
Okay, yeah. That I love that design, and we've got all kinds of other designs that's going to be on Crooked Apparel to go with it. We're literally just waiting for one more business thing to go through, and once it goes through and it's all good to go, we are definitely going to get that store online for everybody to order their Crooked Apparel at home. But yeah, so I got to give all the credit to Christopher on that one. He just sort of texted me randomly one day. I was like, hey, like, what's the one thing that I can't live without besides Bucky's and, Cane's, of course. And I just immediately, no thought needed. I was like, coffee. It's coffee. You've always got coffee with you.
I drink it like my job.
Yeah, you do. And he was just kind of like, I'm working on something. And all of a sudden he sends me this absolutely beautiful logo to go along with the Crooked Path brand and everything.
Ooh.
Coffees. And oh my God, I'm so excited to try. We've ordered some to see if we like it. We're gonna try it out, see what we think. But Crooked Coffees might be coming soon, so I'm really excited about that. But enough about us. I
I
want to hear
love it.
about Creepy Crates and your guys' new store that's opening up at FCI because I've been seeing so much stuff about that, and I'm literally like mind blown. That is awesome. So tell us about that.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I guess kind of to backtrack a little bit. So we have Moon Whisper Boutique. It's going to open up inside of Fairfield County Infirmary. But before Moon Whisper was a thing, we've been planning that for maybe a couple of months and kind of worked out the details. And we just announced it a couple of weeks ago. But, you know, the true origin of that is CreepyCrates. So CreepyCrates was kind of the brainchild of my wife, Mandy. And she wanted to make, and it started out, it's kind of funny. It started out not as a paranormal themed thing at all. It started out as a kind of like a mystery book lovers product. So CreepyCrates at its core is a hand curated mystery box full of paranormal related stuff. And her idea before that even fell into place was to make a book lovers themed box with crazy bookmarks and, you know, a book of the month. I don't know what book people do. I've read like 5 books in my whole life, so I'm not a reader, but she loves books. A lot of people love books, and it was kind of a hit. And then we had a paranormal person buy the kind of the CreepyCrates version of the books before it was even named CreepyCrates. But that person is well known, and people realized that she had bought one, and she promoted it on her social media, and automatically everybody was thinking that it was a paranormal themed box, and it was not. So we got a brainstorm. Let me rephrase, give credit where it's due. Mandy got a brainstorm, and she said, let's make a paranormal themed box. To hell with the stupid books. The books went out the window. We stopped the book I did. We just started CreepyCrates. She came up with a name. We hit the bricks. We started hand curating all this stuff from estate sales and antique shops and flea markets and you name it, garage sales, wherever you can get your hands on cool and interesting items. And the big premise for CreepyCrates, even to this day, when we fulfill an order, it's a mystery box. You don't know what you're going to get inside of it. But the big part, the big hook is that you get an item or two that really speaks to Mandy and I when we procure it. So we go out and find these things, and we'll pass by 100 different items. But there's one item that might be in the shelf locked away or in the back of a bookshelf or down deep in a box. And sometimes it speaks to you, and it's like, I'm going to pick that up and look at it. And we kind of ascertain the value. Is it worth getting? Is it something that we can turn? Will somebody enjoy it as much as we have in that moment? And we'll pick it up and say, hey, does it even fit in the CreepyCrates box? The CreepyCrate is generally a 12 by 9 by 6 rectangle box. And if it fits in there and it's cool and it speaks to us, chances are it's going to go in somebody's box someday. So we've had all kinds of wild little objects go in there, relics, antiques, things that probably shouldn't go in CreepyCrates, but they wind up in there. Just crazy stuff. And then so we'll put we call them relics, but so we'll put relics in there, some historical stuff like that. But we'll also pack it full of things people love in this field: crystals, some small books. Everybody loves like the old postcards, memento mori stuff. What else do we put in there? We put in all kinds of stuff. We'll put in incense. She'll put jewelry in there. I mean, just anything that you could think of that you would walk into like a metaphysical store and shop for yourself. So we'll package it up, and every CreepyCrate is different. We'll get it all packaged up. It's nice and neat. Presentation is kind of key for us. We like to have somebody open a nice box and be wowed by the presentation, not only the contents, but how it looks, how it smells. We want it to smell a certain way when you open it. So Mandy takes time to put a little, extra elbow grease in there to make sure it's the right package that people open, but that's where it started. So we started doing only the mystery boxes, and then we expanded a little bit. I got myself a laser machine, and made me, as I was saying a little bit earlier off the air, I took my podcast studio out and put in a creepy lab, is what I call it. So I got all my woodworking stuff, my laser stuff, my electronic station, and I started making I hand design spirit boards. And I don't use AI or anything like that. I don't just tell a computer to do it, but I think about what I want on a spirit board and I lay it out. And each spirit board for me has meaning. So if I put different symbols on a board or a different configuration of people or characters or scenery, it means something. It tells a story. There's a theme and a name for each spirit board. So I started doing the boards, and I thought, why not have something better than a spirit board? I mean, you got your typical board and a planchette, but I took it a step further and created 2 signature items that go along with the spirit boards. And one of those things was a faux leather back. So on the backside of each spirit board that I create is a faux leather backing, and it's real nice. It's embossed with like a floral design. You get a bunch of different colors. And then I said, well, that's not enough. It's not unique enough. And I started creating my boards with claw feet, like a clawfoot bathtub. And if you've ever seen one of my boards, that's kind of my thing. It's one of my 2 signatures on all of my boards. And I try to hand sign each board as well. I've had a lot of people kind of get on me about not signing my stuff. Jeff Fent being one of them, he tracked me down at MadCon last year and said, you got to sign this. And this lady was following me around. So I started signing all my stuff. And then I moved on from spirit boards and started creating under the CreepyCrates brand as well, REM pods. And then I started doing music boxes, and I wasn't satisfied with the old plastic look. So I created them under the laser burner with a crazy design, and my mind goes to more of a vampiric, like what do people really want? They love black craft and they like that vibe, right? The witchy vampiric vibe. So I started making goth pods, which is my rendition of a REM pod, but it looks like a coffin and it looks like it came straight out of Transylvania. I mean, they're sexy. They got the right colors. They're jeweled out. I mean, they just look like something you really want. And I've had people buy goth pods not to ghost hunt with, but to put it on their shelves. They could, quite honestly, I've had people say that they don't care if it has batteries in it. They just put it on the shelf. So I got into making the goth pods and the different pieces of equipment. We started printing shirts. And so we expanded the CreepyCrates line into more than just, just mystery boxes. And quite frankly, full transparency, the mystery box part of the business has died down a whole lot. We still have repeat customers, and it's great. Shout out to one of our customers in Arizona who's on her 18th order right now.
Wow.
18th order.
Wow,
yeah.
That's awesome.
She buys them for friends and family, and she consumes them herself. And I don't know what else she does with them, but she has, 18th order just put in. And we have some other wonderful repeaters. And we had a deal with Christopher. We had his own board that we produced as well.
Love that board.
It's a great little design.
I have one right here. Look at that.
That looks like it's it. Yeah.
There it is.
Yeah.
Feet.
There you go.
It's so cool. I love that board
And the
so much.
planchette's gorgeous.
Nice.
Oh my god, dude.
Yeah,
Oh.
I started doing custom work as well. You could send me a design and I could put it right on a board or, a music box or whatever. And that's kind of a hit. I don't like the pressure, I'll be honest, because I want to do it right. I want to wow people. The last custom music box I did was for a guy named Zach. He's one of the co-hosts of the Oddity Shop podcast. And I guess a pet lizard that he had passed away. And he wanted to memorialize the lizard, so he asked me to build a custom music box with his lizard's claw print. So I said, I don't know how I'm going to do it, but can you get me like a vectorized version of his claw print so I can put it in black and white format and make my own vector in Photoshop? And I was able to make kind of a line art design, put it in my my laser software, and the rest was history. So I made him a nice custom design, but stuff like that, I really want to get right. So when I see a custom order come in, I'm like, ugh, I'm going to screw this up. And I try to take my time on it. It's different than mass producing items like a goth pod, because I can just see my vision and kind of produce them one at a time and put them on the shelf until somebody buys it. But when I have somebody wanting custom work and it's their logo, like Christopher's or whoever, I have some YouTubers that want, their logos put on them. You got to get it right. So it's a lot of pressure. So I enjoy it and I don't enjoy it because of the perfection part of me.
Which makes a lot of sense. I understand that. And I get that. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. And another thing that's kind of cool is, you have all these builders out here like Jeff Fent, Austin Maynard. He does a lot of good work. A lot of these guys, put together the tech and they're real deep into the communication side of it. I'm very basic with my electronic expertise. I focus more on aesthetics, but I still have people that bring me their broken equipment and want me to look at it. And there's a good chance I don't know what it's made of or how to fix it. But like on the flashlight tours Friday night, Christopher, I had a couple of ladies drop off some of the tripwire ropes and some laser equipment, and I was happy to look at it, but and I figured it out. I figured out what was wrong with them, but people bring me their stuff, but I'm real basic. I keep the tech low and the visuals high. I want the stuff to look good, because you can go on, Ghost Gear or Ghost Augustine or wherever and get any kind of paranormal equipment that you want in a black kind of project box. And it's just kind of cookie cutter to me. So I want to build stuff that appeals to people's visuals as well and creates good conversation pieces. And I put a lot of thought and time into them. It takes a lot of time to bedazzle a bat on the front of a, sorry, Christopher, for that reference. Let's use something else, like a crucifix on the front of a golf pod. So, but it's a lot of fun. I have a lot of fun with it. And then, and shut me up, guys, if I'm rambling, but I'm trying to get all this stuff out.
We want you to talk.
We want you to talk about it. And plus, like, I want you to finish, because then I'm probably going to, ramble on, because there's so much, like I said before, I've been waiting to talk to you for a while. So please, like, tell me all about what you're doing over there, man. I love it.
Yeah, cool. I mentioned the Creepy Lab here. I'm in my house, so we didn't have like a warehouse or anything. It's our home. Got a nice, expansive finished basement, but we've converted it into the Creepy Warehouse. So everywhere you look in this basement, albeit a nice basement, it's not a basement anymore. It's a warehouse for all of our stuff. And with that being said, Mandy and I started thinking how nice it would be just to open up a brick and mortar somewhere. So we started kind of looking at leases and how much it would be, and factor in the overhead and operating expenses. Could we make it work? In this county where we're situated, some of the metaphysical shops don't survive as long. So we were real apprehensive, and then we just got to talking, and we were like, maybe we could whine around a little bit and see if somebody bites and gives us a space or an opportunity. Addie Gaddis answered that call with Fairfield County Infirmary. So I can't remember the conversation, but it was about us regaining our house back and moving all of this stuff out of here and just having storage somewhere else. But not only storage, but perform all the production for all of the equipment somewhere other than our home. Like, it's not enjoyable at home anymore. So we have all this stuff here. And she kind of heard what we were saying, and she was like, hypothetically, could this ever go full time for you guys? And the rest is history. So she talked to the owner of Fairfield County Infirmary, Adam Kimmel, and essentially they needed someone to fill their long-term goal of having day rooms for the building. And the question of whether or not we could have it become something full time kind of just fit into that. If we were to open up a brick and mortar, somewhere, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Monday through Friday. Why not do it in a location that's 200 years old almost and has a mainstream following, has volume already, fulfills a business need for the facility, and there you got it. Fairfield County Infirmary worked out. So we made kind of a deal, and we're going to facilitate the day room tours through the Moon Whisper Boutique Monday through Friday, 9 to 4. You come in at 9:30 in the morning, you buy a wristband, $20, get you in till 4 p.m. every day. You can come in there every day for $20 and spend your whole life in there if you want to. So yeah, it works out for the infirmary, and it provides a space for us to present our goods, and we get our house back. So slowly but surely, we're going to move everything over there. So it's a good space. We got 2 little rooms over there that does us justice. It's perfect for us, and we've been working on the decor and stuff, and getting all the fixtures put in and all the the core essential things for a store. And it's been awesome so far. But we haven't started merchandising yet. It's just been all the hard, heavy lifting work.
Right.
Part of the boutique is you got one side that's kind of the shop, the store, and then you transition into a joined room. Just go through a little doorway, and the second room is actually called the gallery, because I'm an art guy. You can see some things behind me. I also have vialarts.com, which I'll touch on that here in a second. Not for everybody, but we'll get to that. So I'm an art guy. So the second room, not only does it have product as well, it'll feature some of my, my paranormal equipment, my spirit board, stuff like that, but it's going to be a lot of my art. And this is more the PG art that's appropriate for, the infirmary, but that room is called the gallery. And Christopher, I got something to tell you about the gallery today. It kind of freaked me out. The gallery consists of a whole wall of art, anywhere from 11 by 14 fine art, down to 3 by 2 framed art. Everything's framed, ready to go. And then I have a different grid wall panel with art as well. And then a whole wall of shelves to showcase whatever else we have to sell. One of the shelves will become like the tarot station. You can come pick. We got so many tarot cards coming. It's a perfect space for us. It's not too big. It's not too small. But yeah, there are 2 spaces. But what I wanted to tell you is I came into the shop today, and as you know, Christopher, I got it from Wales. It's a black ram's head. Mm-hmm. And it's made out of a forged plaster, and it's nice and heavy. It's got some weight to it, and I love it. It came from Black Teeth. I can't remember the actual name of the company, but it came from Wales overseas. Took me forever to get it and then them to make it, but hung it up on the wall. And I devised this whole scheme as to where you walk into the shop and you look into the gallery from the main room, and all you see is the black ram's head on the wall. I'm very dark, by the way. I like the finer things. So you look through there. God forbid if we have like a Jehovah come through the door. So you're going to look through there, and you're going to see the ram's head kind of like on the horizon of the ceiling. And I installed a couple days ago a nice red light accent that shoots up underneath of it. So now the black ram's head is just bathed in this red hue of light. So the light has a remote control, or you can hit this button. Last night, Mandy and I closed up shop, and there's certain things we do. We turn the heaters off, we turn off the Alexa, turn off all the lights, and we turn off all the accent lights before we leave. I came in this morning to install some wallpaper and finished up a couple of the stain production tasks for my goth pods. And I look into that damn room, and that light is lit up on that black ram. 100% guaranteed we turn it off, because I remember Mandy last night telling me to turn it off, and I turned it off. I walk in here this morning and it's lit up. So I have a lot of camera footage to watch to see what happened
right
in that room overnight. And speaking of, it's got to be a haunted room because we've been alerted on our cameras a couple of different times to things moving around in the gallery. And I'm not a huge orb person, but whatever's in there is very fascinating. I wouldn't call it an orb, but we've seen like pulsating lights that just kind of have this awesome synchronicity that doesn't go off its normal cadence. It's really hard to describe with like dust and stuff like that. You see kind of like varying points of light,
Right.
and it'll enlarge with the focal point of the camera, and you can tell what an orb is. But we've seen things moving around that room recently in the middle of the night that I can't explain, which is pretty awesome because I normally discount stuff like that. And I'll make sure, Chris, did you see that video at all? Did I show you that?
No, I don't think I saw it.
Okay. And I would never promote an orb video to anybody actually. And
You mentioned it. I don't think I saw it.
Okay. I want to show you that video. And it was, we were home one night for an hour and a half, no alerts in the shop at all. And lo and behold, we started getting alerts on the gallery room. We're like, what the hell? So we tuned in, we turned on and watched the live feed. And the room is just blustering with normal dust orbs that we think are normal dust orbs. Then it settles down, and then you see these orbs coming out of the wall, which would be Addie's office next door. Then they go through the doorway into the adjoining main shop room, and then the other camera picks up those orbs coming through the doorway. So now that camera's picking up the orbs that are coming through the gallery room. So it's been kind of crazy. We've had a couple of dolls shift in place. We came in day before yesterday, and one of the dolls on the shelves were slumped over. I mean, it's windy out. I don't know if the building's kind of shifting, but it's been a weird vibe in the shop. And shout out to Addie for having the serial killer stuff in there before we moved in.
With your light being turned back on, this is why I unplugged the heater in my room there. I don't turn it off, I unplug it. I'm certain they can turn it back on. I don't think they can plug it back in.
That would be impressive if they could.
The recent thing they've been doing in my room, they've been lifting up cords and dropping them.
Wow.
Not like a foot or anything, but just lifting them up a couple inches and dropping them. I've seen the same cords do that a few times. Now, this past weekend, they did it with my keys. My keys were sitting there, and I saw them lift and drop.
Yeah, that's crazy. Well, you have a very interesting room. Even without the stuff that you have in there, that is a fine choice for a room.
That's where they sent me. When I asked, where's my new room going to be? That's where they guided me.
Yeah. You know, I find myself passing by your old room all the time, and I feel drawn to it. I feel like there's something still in the room that says, what about me?
There is. We spent some time in there Saturday. That was part of what we worked on.
Oh, well, lo and behold, I had no idea, but yeah. That's cool.
We spent some time in there Saturday night.
Awesome. So yeah, that's a little bit about Moon Whisper Boutique, CreepyCrates, and all that stuff. And yeah, just kind of trudging forward. We had aspirations to buy a haunted property, kind of like everybody else, guys. It would be fun and a good kind of retirement plan to have something you love to do and own a haunted property. It's a lot. We've actually signed offers on properties and fell through. I've put bids on properties, just not in the cards right now. We're kind of set on Moon Whisper and CreepyCrates just being something we love to do for now. And that's kind of our little piece of the pie to monetize this field a little bit, you know, and we don't have to make a killing. I just landed an awesome career. Wonder if I'm allowed to say it, with a social media giant. So I'm working with a social media company now. So it's not about the money or anything like that. It's about having fun and doing something we love. And, you know, that's where we're going to go with it for now. So yeah, Moon Whisper Boutique. We'll announce the opening date here soon. And, hope to see everybody there that's listening to this.
Oh, absolutely. I know I'll be there because, man, I got to say, like, I've loved following CreepyCrates. So even before I knew Christopher, I'd heard of CreepyCrates. I've loved your guys' stuff. Like, man, I got to get my hands on some of the stuff that you guys have. Like, And I can't tell you how many times I've talked with Christopher about, like, because I love his board so much. Like, I want a Crooked Path board, man, so
I,
bad.
I
Like,
no, I was just getting ready to say, let me just make you a couple of different things, and you guys can put it in your episodes or whatever,
yes,
and
like
we'll do that.
I love
That'd be
dude,
amazing.
your thought, your artistic mind, man. I've loved every single design you've made, put out there. I like I love it. I just want to see what you come up with, man, because it's
Appreciate that.
so good. And like, and I've been telling Christopher too, because apart from Creepy Crates, like the conversations that I've had with Christopher about just your experience in the paranormal and just the things that you've experienced, I've noticed, and Christopher will probably back me up on this, the way that I think our minds work are so similar in the way that we go really weird places, and like the UFO stuff and all that kind of stuff. Like, you've been on my list of like people I have to investigate with at some point. Like,
Yes,
I have to
I
get,
like what I hear.
yes, like, am I lying? Like,
No, no, not at all. I mean, the UFO thing has been shifting more front and center recently in our work.
well, and the thing that really brought, I think that sort of in my mind, I just instantly knew that it was kind of a meant to be thing, was, and this was very early on Crooked Path, like whenever we were just getting started, the idea of Crooked Path and everything. Um, a place in which obviously you're familiar with, because you reached out to Christopher about this place, not knowing that I'm literally basically 10 minutes down the road, is Egypt Valley. And
Right.
that's a place that's what got me started in the paranormal. Before I ever bought a video camera or anything, I'd go out there with buddies of mine that was
Oh,
into the paranormal, and we'd go out there for hours at night and investigate stuff like that. And I had already been kind of working on some stuff there, and then instantly you send in this podcast where they're talking about this UFO stuff from back in the 80s, and I was like, what the hell? Like,
yeah, yeah.
that was
That's
such,
interesting.
yeah,
I didn't know you had kind of grown up at doing Egypt Valley, and kind of your paranormal world was kind of focused there for an origin. I, let alone anybody ever hearing about Egypt Valley being somewhere where people like us hang out.
right.
In full transparency, I've only been there once, and it was a horrible visit. The horse flies were trying to kill us. I mean, it really takes a special visit to go and enjoy it. But
Yes.
yeah, I mean, it's a very interesting place. It's one of those places where if we were 300 years ago, I think the Indians would circle around it and avoid it. Like the state of West Virginia, Indians didn't pass through certain parts of that state. I feel like
Right.
in Egypt Valley would be one of those places.
Yeah. I feel the exact same way about that. It's there's something different about it. And like, even just the small number of locations that I've been compared to you, it's the only place I can really think that has that type of energy there. Like, that specific type of energy, I should say. It's just different.
Yeah. Yeah. I would agree with that actually. And just based on the abduction story that I was kind of involved with, a couple of years ago, learning about one of my friend's experiences on that podcast, I kind of put it all out there without giving up his name. But it, and just to kind of rehash on that, all the ghost lore, and all that aside from Egypt Valley, that is really a story that really tried my mental psyche to its core.
Right.
I mean, just the way it was presented to me, and to watch a grown man break down and cry, who I'd only talked to a few times. We were at breakfast when he told me the story about Egypt Valley, and I knew right then that this was a serious situation for him, and he had some PTSD, mental baggage from that night back in the 80s. And something did happen to that guy, 100%. And I can, when I go to Egypt Valley, and when I say go to it, I'm on my way to Ross or Bel Air or somewhere out there,
Right.
or Moundsville. But when I pass by Egypt Valley, and it's off to the left as you're going east. I just feel that place. Like, man, I should get off there and just go. But when I was there, it's just a feeling. It would be like you're in another world kind of feel. And to have that kind of experience, again, doing away with the ghost lore and the things, the things that are, we're all familiar with the abduction story that I know of. It's just a place that I don't want to call it special, but it's just, I don't know. It's kind of like it's meant to be for certain things. And I think that kind of abduction experience that happened to all those people that night, collectively, mind you, not just my friend, but I think that was meant to be. It was the right place at the right time. Egypt Valley is a strange place, and it's not for everyone. I have had people that have no idea about that story at all that's told me that they would never go to Egypt Valley, and they don't allow their children to go there, or I mean, I don't know. It is a strange place, but yeah, a lot of my past, I can't even remember the chicken or the egg or which came before it, but I was really huge into ufology probably since about the 5th grade, and I started looking into cryptids, and I loved the Loch Ness Monster. Bigfoot came a little later, but I don't know why I was like so enthused about Nessie out in Scotland. It's like, I'll never go there probably. But yeah, I started looking at all that, and then I picked up a book. It was called Occult and Other Supernatural Phenomenon by R.J. Rollins. And it was like on the nightstand of my mom's bed in her bedroom. I picked it up, I looked at it, and it had the most bizarre stuff in it. And I was like, man, I'm hooked. I read the whole thing, didn't understand a word of it, but it touched on like ghosts and stuff like that. And I remember going to our little school library in the 5th grade and getting every ghost book I could. Some of that was like the Hardy Boys, the Curse of the Green Goblin, and all this stuff. It's just asinine stuff, but it got me into this. And then I had my own experience when I was about, 12 or 13. I saw my deceased grandfather, who died a couple years before me. Never seen a picture of him. And that was kind of something that catapulted me into further research. And I just spent 27 years, from then to now, visiting different places, and it's been quite a ride. Here lately, kind of my return to the paranormal has been really commercial based in places like Fairfield County Infirmary and some of these big asylums and hospitals and schools and stuff like that. But my forte, I formed my first paranormal group in 1999. It's called Columbus Paranormal Investigations. And I had a group of, 3 or 4 of us that had kind of like-minded. We were all people that had we brought in different trades. We had an actual scientist who did lab work. This is back in the day. I'm really going to age myself. This is back in the day where we believed that ectoplasm came from walls and was part of what's called apportation. So when a manifestation happens, you leave a trace of ectoplasm. We had this guy that had an ectoplasm kit that would scrape up goo and send it to his lab. This is how old my days go back. People talk to blinking boxes nowadays, and that's about it. So back then we were really, putting down the baby powder on the floor to see if the tracks happened. We're talking Hans Holzer days here. Or techniques, but yeah, but my wheelhouse really was in residential investigations. Before I ever started, I think my first residential or my first commercial place was Mansfield Reformatory, and that was in 1999. And at the time, they didn't have a ghost hunt program. They didn't have any kind of paranormal events or anything that goes on there. In fact, Mansfield Reformatory Preservation Society had 1 or 2 members. I remember going there for a tour and talking to the director, and it was quite an evening. We made an evening of it and spent most of the night in there, and had some experiences. And I was further hooked on these big, it was a giant prison, and I'm used to people's houses.
Right.
But I will say I still love the house calls, going into a family situation and try to be able to explain, make it more mundane and more logical when I can, and help people. And in some cases, bring in the clergy or whatever, even if it's for placebo purposes, to make them comfortable. If I can't explain it, somebody can. But my passion has been in people's homes to help them out with their personal situations. And I've seen, I don't want to say I've seen it all, but I've seen like the heavier stuff, like non-human presence. I remember this situation in Cincinnati, in somebody's apartment, where this gentleman who was being scratched and attacked at night. And we went into his case, kind of expecting the bed to be floating off the ground at that point, and the door slamming, and inverted crucifixes on the wall. When we got in there and we interviewed, we discovered that he was a diabetic. And diabetics, I'm a diabetic, I'm a type 2. Diabetics experience peripheral neuropathy in their legs and their hands, and he had been treated for that. And part of the phenomenon that he was describing was scratches on his legs at night as he lays in the bed. We got to talking to him, and we're like, I think you're symptomatic of diabetes more so than you are Lucifer in your closet. And we kind of explained it away, and night progressed, and we did our due diligence. We left some audio recorders in the home while we vacated, kind of an abandonment type process, and got back to Columbus the next day and reviewed all that stuff. And I am telling you, it was a shocker what we discovered on that audio, with nobody inside the apartment. And we had to rewrite our way of thinking and the way we present results to a client, and develop more of a process and listen to people. We wrote this guy off because he had type 2 diabetes and having those signatures of scratching feelings on his legs, and some of the other things added up to diabetes. But there was something in that apartment for sure. And that was an early on case I did, but many other cases were quite shocking as well. We'd have cases where there'd be a family in a home that lived in a new construction build for 3 months and had this ungodly amount of like poltergeist phenomenon going on in the house, to where we felt through research it wasn't the land, it wasn't the dwelling, because it was new, so it had to be an occupant. And lo and behold, if you dig deep into like classic parapsychology, poltergeist phenomenon is related to the person, typically a adolescent that's going through a post or pre-puberty period that is venting, I don't know what you want to call it, like extrasensory in that way, but venting out into the world. Their energies are broadcasting to things in the home and causing movement, kind of like a PK effect. And we found out that the phenomenon would not repeat when we removed a certain subject from that family from the home for an extended period of time, which was cool. It told us the house wasn't haunted, the daughter was.
Right.
And that's where I come from. I like to work out the problems and try to figure out what is presenting, the original issue. What is the chief complaint, and how do we fix it? Well,
Right.
there's no fixing that. You can't throw the daughter out, throw to the curb so the doors don't slam. I forget what happened. I think she grew out of it, to be honest with you. I lost touch with that particular family, but not to dwell on that one case, but
No, it's very interesting to hear you say that too, because like kind of like back to the comment earlier, that made me laugh. People talking to just blinking boxes nowadays. You're 1,000% right, and I think that's something that I think when Christopher and I, first met each other, that's part of why we got along, was because just like how you're describing that way of thinking or that process of thinking, I had that same sort of ideal, and I knew he did as well. And when we decided to create Crooked Path, I didn't want it to just be we go into a location and prove that that's paranormal. I'm at the stage in life where I'm like, oh, I know there's paranormal. I know there's stuff going on. That's not what it's about for me. For me, it's about, is there a spirit that needs help? Is there a person that needs help? Can we go into a location, and if there's something wrong, try to fix that for whoever's there, whether it's spiritual or a physical person, or if there's nothing wrong there, why don't we just tell this person's story? What is the person or the spirit's story that's going on here? And that's why I think the style of our videos sometimes is a little bit different. If for anybody out there that has seen our videos in the past, maybe it gets a little bit, you got to get used to it because it's a little bit different of a style. But that's because we try to focus on exactly what you're describing, and that's why I think I'm just drawn to you in a way. Maybe, I don't know, like that's why for the longest time I think I've wanted to do a project with you. You know what I mean? Like, no, for
Yeah,
instance, like
that's great.
for instance, man, like I don't even know if Christopher had said anything. He might have. I don't know. I forget things quite often. But we've been talking about doing an official docu series on Egypt Valley itself, and I was like, we can't do this without Brent. Can't do it without Brent. Like, the stuff that you've talked about Egypt, the way it fits in synchronistically with so many things that we've done and things we haven't even, like, you and I haven't had a direct conversation about, but the way that it fits in is like, I don't think we can make this documentary series without Brent involved, and that's where we were going to be like, hey man, we need you in this documentary series.
That's awesome. I'd be honored to take part in that. 100%. Yeah. That's very cool. And just to kind of flip back a little bit on the blinking boxes part, I do want to say for all my friends in this field that I thoroughly enjoy talking to the tech.
Oh yeah.
I am just as apt to sit in a room and SB7 and SDs and do all the communication stuff. I have a lot of fun doing it.
Absolutely. And the thing about it is, I guess, is that like there's not only nothing wrong with that. It's, I think the thing with technical equipment specifically, whenever you mix it with the older style of paranormal and stuff like that, more the spiritualistic point of view, I think that's when things really spark, because there's something about the mixture of the two. So that's where, like, the I use a bunch of technical equipment. Actually, sometimes I like to set out, 2 or 3, 4 or 5 at the same time. Hell, I've been talking to Christopher about how I need to get me a CreepyCrates REM pod, like just because, like, so no, absolutely, I 1,000% agree with that. There's nothing wrong, and also too, because like not everybody has gifts and abilities like Christopher. So then you're in a situation where you have to. So like, no, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Actually, a lot of times they're extremely useful, like what you were just explaining in your story, that you use an EVP recorder to essentially figure out what was going on for this person.
Right. Yeah. Case in point, to your point, Noah, last fall we went to the Ross house. And I packed a particular piece of equipment that nobody was expecting me to pop out of my bag. And that's an analog tape recorder from like 1985. And we're talking a 90 TRK, if you remember, or the Memorex maybe. You flip the one side, it's got the magnetic reel, all that stuff.
Wow.
A real crappy internal microphone. The crappier the better for me. I pulled that out next to I have a Zoom microphone that's, a $400 job versus this $25 one from the 80s.
Right.
And they were like, what is that? It's like kids with like a telephone booth now. They don't, what is a telephone booth? But I pull this thing out and I run them at the same time. I'm like, this is why I'm doing it, because you got digital audio being sampled versus at the same time with the same timestamps. Magnetic reel pickup. Does paranormal not revolve in our minds around the magnetic fields? So you got the reel to reel picking up the magnetic responses and the audio spectrum at the same time as the digital, why not put those two things side by side? You're mixing the old techniques and the old tech with the new way of thinking and see what comes up.
Right.
And no spoilers for me. I have not reviewed either one of those samples. we got into a seance that night with Cindy Kuhn, the owner of Ross House, and I don't know, the tape recorder ran out, and I still haven't listened to any of that stuff. But that's the way of thinking that I go with a lot, is mix it all up.
I think that's genius, though. I think most times that's some of the best paranormal evidence that's captured, is whenever you do look at things that way, because anybody that knows or has used even just like the digital technical equipment, is that like it doesn't always catch everything, and that's just the way that it goes sometimes. Like, so for some reason, sometimes you'll set out 2 or 3 different devices, and it may not be able to set off that REM pod every time, but it might be able to set off another piece of equipment. So whenever you set them all out and you're like, all right, and you obviously just look for the pattern of like, how's it answering, when's it answering, like stuff like that, and that's when you basically determine like, this is what it's saying.
Sure.
So I like that. I like that a lot. Actually, that just reminded me of Christopher will know this because I gave my dad so much shit about this. I did. I gave him so much shit at the time because it was like the most ghetto thing I'd ever seen in my life. But it was funny as hell. We were going to an investigation, and I mean, he was right. I mean, it should work in theory, but he had this idea that like, well, because he has one of those old style doorbells, right?
Yeah.
And it had the speaker from inside the house and stuff like that. So he brought it. So that way he basically taped the button on top of the speaker. So he was like, well, if any spirit can push this button, we'll hear the doorbell go off. And it was the funniest thing ever because I'm just sitting there like looking at this ghetto contraption that he's made. But I mean, it really was a good idea. I mean, like, yeah, that'll work. I was just...
Well, I have my next product line idea now.
Yeah, because what did he call it? The redneck dead bell or something? It was something like that. Because I started talking about how I wanted the dead bell, and he's like, oh, I got your dead bell right here, and he brings out this contraption. I was like, what the hell is that? He's calling it the redneck dead bell.
That's awesome.
That just reminded me of that because I was like, oh my god, that's like.
Yeah, and I have built and compiled different pieces of equipment to my liking that probably did not work in any way, shape, or form. That would compare to the redneck dead bell for sure. But whatever it takes to get the job done and break the monotony of a night of sitting and getting nothing, right? And that's kind of where my intuition kicks in sometimes, is when the tech isn't doing it, I start hearing and feeling and kind of sensing things around me. And I think more so here lately for me and I don't have, like, I always say this and people get on me, a psychic bone in my body. But I will say that I think I'm more intuitive than I like to admit, because I start thinking about things when all the tech isn't happening in the like the home or the building's quiet. And I start to just kind of visualize scenarios and different thoughts come into my head. And I'm like, this is what happened here, or this is what needs to happen. This is what's going to happen. I don't know if it's kind of a precog type sensory thing going on, but I find myself as I get older kind of relying on those senses more, where I'll just bring a flashlight into a place so I can see and not break a hip. Right. But sometimes that's all I need. Like, we are due to go to a very, I don't know if you want to say it, Christopher, a very well-known location this weekend.
Oh, let's say it.
Say it. So
we're headed to Whispers on Friday.
There you go. One of my bittersweet places for me to visit. But when I go to Whispers, I personally probably will only pack me, myself, and I in my tool bag. And I feel that the work I need to do at Whispers is not involving a blinking box. Maybe a flashlight, because I don't want to fall down them stairs with that creepy. What is that thing up there, Christopher? That we call it
gargoyle thing up there.
Yeah, the
the gargoyle.
That hideous piece of art, which I'd love to have in the Moon Whisper Boutique, by the way. I'll make an offer on it. But yeah, we're heading to Whispers Estate this weekend. And I do bring tech to that place. I probably will bring my thermal imager. I caught the most awesome gangly hands and arms coming out of the wall upstairs on the second floor of that place. I can't explain it. I just don't know how to wrap my head around whatever the hell was captured on that thermal imager, but I'll probably bring something like that. But for the most part, that type of dwelling is a place where you just kind of open your mind and put up your guard.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm definitely jealous of you guys that you guys are going, because I will not be able to partake in that one. But yeah, it is such an awesome place. Actually, what's interesting too about like the equipment versus spiritualistic. So first of all, it's kind of like one of those, when I start thinking about it, I think more people do have, psychic abilities than what they really realize. Because what I think I've started to theorize about, is that it's not as much. It's like I think the way that we think of spiritualism is, I don't want to say wrong, but it's just in the wrong lighting maybe, because I feel like it actually ties much more to like essentially what your brain is doing. The brain itself is the organ, but what's going on in there? What is the spirit doing inside the brain? You know what I mean? And I feel like that's where it's like, well, obviously, like we think about it as like, oh, I don't have supernatural powers, whatever it is. But the more and more that you practice that muscle, the more and more that stuff starts to happen. Like, I guess I can even, from my own experience, like a year ago, I wasn't doing anything involved in the, spiritualistic side of things. I was only technical. And in the past year, the stuff that I've done recently that has more been on the spiritualistic side, it's more of like one of those things where it's like, I feel like it's just the amount that I've been around Christopher and been working that muscle, the more and more it starts to happen. But you only really notice it when you turn off the pieces of equipment, like what we did at the night house, where we turned it off. We didn't use any technical equipment, and the stuff that both Christopher and I were saying the entire night ended up all coming to fruition with, the owner that was able to validate a lot of the history and stuff we were talking about. And so I think it is interesting. And one of the experiments that was started a long time ago by a couple of guys from the Hellier show that I know you watch.
I love it.
Which that's another thing that like ties us together, because years before I met Christopher, I'd watched that show, and it was my absolute favorite show I'd ever seen, because they're so different in what they were doing compared to what, everybody else was doing, and that whole story. And I always tell Christopher, is like, when I watched that, I had this really weird, like, feeling of connection to it. Like, something weird, like, was there. Like, I don't know, like, I'm a part of this story. Maybe not in the same sense of, like, I know them, because I don't know them, obviously, but it's like, there's something about that story that really resonates. And, then I meet Christopher, yada, yada, yada. I know CreepyCrates, don't really know you personally at that point in time. And then, he's telling me all this stuff, and I find out you love Hellier, and I'm like, what are the odds of that? Like,
that Hellier, honestly, even before Hellier was a thing, was a big part of my life. Just what you said, a lot of and they talk about it a lot, synchronicities.
Yes.
A lot of the things that Hellier brought into fruition from episode to episode to episode was a lot of the things that I have experienced throughout my life in more of an esoteric way, beyond the walls of a haunted place. And Hellier is much more, in fact, it's very little haunting stuff.
Yeah.
I love that show so much. I actually went to Hellier just to sit in that gas station parking lot.
Okay.
My wife wanted to kill me because you had to drive this treacherous holler road, and you about die. It's unsurvivable pathway to Hellier. And we finally get there, and she's like, well, where is it at? I'm like, this is it. This is where all the shit happened. This is where they did all the interviews and had no clue where to go from there. And I loved being at Hellier, and we did nothing there. But it's a fantastic piece of cinematic art is what I'll say. The new Kirks and the guys from out west, they did an awesome job, and I believe 100% of every bit of everything that went on in Hellier to its core.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they are making season 3. I just saw a thing about it again. That
I
season
saw
3
that
is
as
in
well.
production, so I'm excited for it. But it, as you already know, Carl and Connor that were on that series, they were the ones that actually created the Estes method.
Estes, right?
Yeah, and that method there, first of all, is our favorite when it comes to communication, especially the way Christopher just channels a spirit whenever he goes under. But it ties back into this idea or theory that I have about the entire thing about the brain, because you start thinking of that and you're like, well, how much are people actually just physically hearing that little audio blip that happens so fast? How much of that are they really physically hearing, or how much of it is being told to them, if that makes sense of what I'm saying?
Sure.
Like, for instance, when I go under, which is much different than Christopher because I don't have the same gift of channeling that he has. It's very weird. I haven't explained it a lot because I haven't met a lot of people that have this exact thing happen to them. But instead of physically hearing, because I'm really bad about interpreting the stuff that comes through the headset, I just go off of what I'm hearing in my in my mind. But it's not like a physical thing where I hear it. It's almost kind of like, to describe it, as like if somebody had a blank piece of paper on a computer and they were typing what they were saying. That's what I see. And I say what I see it say. And then sometimes they'll give me images or visions of stuff going on, and it's real weird.
Or foreign languages.
What?
Or foreign languages that you don't speak.
Dude, that was the craziest thing. I got, the foreign language. I'm just sitting there like, well, that looks weird. And you're like, what is it? And I was like, I don't know. It looks like it would be French. And you're like, well, what does it say? And I'm looking at it and I'm trying to I was like, well, the first word looks like Lemaire or Lamar, something like that. And he's like, spell it. So I spelled it. And he's like, okay, that's spelled correctly to, and then I was like, well, the second half is much easier. It looks like de Blanc. And it was what? The Sea of White as the direct translation.
Correct.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Hey, you don't know any French at all, Noah?
No.
Wow.
Nothing.
But I do.
My school didn't even offer French, so there's no chance of me knowing French. I know nothing, and that's what was weird about it. And again, this happened over the past weekend where we were going to the night house where we turned off all the equipment. I wasn't using any technical equipment, and all of a sudden I started plugging into whatever this was, and it was really weird.
Yeah, I think we're a lot of alike in that way. I think you hit it. Plugging in is a good word to use, rather than just automatically going into the situation and expecting stuff to happen on the psychic level. Right. I have to be in the right state of mind, and it has to be quiet and stuff like that where I can focus. Right. But you plug in. That's a good way to put it. And I don't know if you've seen the article that I posted on Facebook either yesterday or today, but these scientists discovered this microscopic piezoelectric particle in your brain that allows you to, I guess, theoretically tap into a stream of information.
Yeah,
and it's wild. Yeah, think about that. Yeah. If we all have it, maybe I have a lot less than Christopher. And I'm a big proponent in the Akashic record. I see the psychic world and even the non-psychic world as being a stream of flowing information that anyone can tap into it with the right ability and situation.
Right.
And maybe these microcrystals in your brain that produce electrical currents under pressure allows you to tap into it. And maybe I don't have as many as Christopher, and I just get it sometimes. But that could be like a physiological link from science to psychic phenomenon.
No, and that's what
marinating in it.
No, and so first of all, I have to say this because, of course, my nerd mind goes here every time somebody starts talking about this stuff. To kind of put it out there for the nerds out there to make it, it's kind of like, how in Star Wars they talk about the Metachlorians?
Oh yeah.
the more metachlorians you have, the stronger in the force you are.
Force,
That's
right.
essentially, yeah. So it's kind of like Christopher is very strong with the force, as some would say in the Star Wars community, and where like guys like us just aren't. We don't have as many of the metachlorians in our bloodstream and stuff like that. So and
Right.
it and it's interesting too, right? Because a lot of times scientists will make this discovery that I feel like if you were just the average person, you would read that and be like, okay, but then guys that are, people that are in this field that look at that, we're almost like our a light bulb goes off and we're like,
Yeah. Like the
wait a
missing
second.
link.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like wait a second. That makes a lot of sense because of all of these things that are unexplainable, 20 years ago.
Right.
It's unexplainable back then, but now it's sort of like we're getting to an era where like science is starting to back up a lot of the things that people are experiencing because they're like, well, yeah, because you have these things in your head that actually can connect to these invisible frequencies that we can't see, but are a part of a fourth dimensional sort of, space.
For
And
sure.
oh, it's so interesting. So yeah, that's like anytime I get my hands on something that's like weird like that, yeah, I'm like a kid in a candy store.
Yeah, it's a rabbit hole. There you could base an entire podcast season on stuff like that.
Yeah, you really could. And that's why I like talking just to everybody from the different neck of the woods on like what their views are because, you know, not there's not a single person out there that has all the answers. Everybody
Right.
has like little pieces to kind of put in this big, puzzle we call the universe. And so it's like everybody's going to have an idea where they're like, well, I've had this experience and I thought this and like, ooh, that makes a lot of sense. I like that. And then you just sort of run with it. And like you just said, it's a rabbit hole. It just never ends.
Yeah, and you touched on something that needs to be said as well is like, and they said it in Hellier as well that the UFO guys need to start talking to the cryptid people, and the
Yes.
paranormal guys need to talk to the UFO people because, as you two know, all of that's connected. I mean, you're
Yeah.
talking about extra dimensional beings and people from the stars and the versus the hat man at the end of your bed at night at 3 a.m. I think
Right.
in a way it could all be related, and we all need to talk
Yes.
about it collectively and come up with
1,000%.
the right way to put the puzzle together.
Yes, 1,000%, man. Like we're literally so on the same page. You have no idea.
That's
Like,
awesome.
Exactly. Actually, what's funny is that was like again, because your artistic mind is just so beautiful and the stuff that you've come up. The only thing I was gonna like request, and I don't want to put it as they're like, oh, do this, but like the only thing I was like hoping for a Crooked Path board is put elements from everything in there, man. Spirits,
Ooh.
like spirits, aliens, cryptids, because that's what Crooked Path is all about. Is just everything, like you just said, intertwined in this big mess, this soup, as Christopher always called it.
Soup, right.
but yeah, like
Yeah, I may even sneak in the Bucky's beaver in the very corner.
hey,
Yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
Maybe a cup of cane sauce on the opposite corner.
Yes.
We need to somehow get sponsored by Cane's. I don't like.
Oh, that would be it.
I
Yeah.
don't know what it takes, but like I just whenever we went there, they had a cardboard cutout, I think, of Megan Maroney as like a promotion thing, and I was like, imagine if we could get a cardboard cutout.
Right. That would be amazing. No two deserve it like you two.
Well, I appreciate you saying that, man. Like, and again, it's like well, and it's kind of like I got to be honest, and this is not me trying to glaze you up. This is me just being a genuine. Like, I have seen everything that you guys have done at CreepyCrates, and you guys have honestly been a huge inspiration for me personally because
Wow.
I've seen what you guys have done, and I love every aspect of it because I don't need to be, a rich person. I don't need to be a rich person. But this stuff right here is my passion. I love this. And if there's a way that I could somehow quit my 9-to-5 job and just do this, that's what I want to do. So since Crooked Path has been born, I've been trying to do everything that I can to put us in a direction, whether it's, merchandise branding, the investigations that we put out on YouTube, all of it that we can do. I want to be a brand that is long lasting and just get me to the point where I can do this every day. But
Right.
like you kind of put out there earlier, is that like for me, it's not about the money. I don't care about that. What I care about is the thing itself. I love doing this, and I love connecting with new people and having these conversations and helping people and spirits just whenever I can, and just overall knowledge of like what is going on in the universe. I love
Right.
this.
Yeah. Well said. I'm on the same page for sure.
Right. So I just like, again, like I'm not trying to glaze you up or anything. I'm just like I seriously love everything that you guys do over
Yeah.
here. You guys have been a huge inspiration for me. I know
That's
that.
a huge compliment. I appreciate you so much for that.
Yeah. Well, I think we're kind of at the end of our episode here, but man, this has been so fun.
This has been great.
Yeah, I've loved every
Yeah.
second of this.
I had a lot of fun, guys. Thanks for bringing me on. Hopefully in the future I can do another one with you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll definitely be reaching out for sure, and then
Cool.
I definitely want to get something in the pipeline as far as an actual Crooked Path production put out there with CreepyCrates in there. So definitely
Awesome.
want to get that stuff.
Yeah. We'll make it happen, guys.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
Yep,
See
you
you
too.
later.
See ya.
Bye.